Hi there, I'm Peter and I coordinate the centre here. So lovely to have you all come. Thanks for coming this morning. We've got a very special morning lined up. I know every single Saturday is a very special day here and there's always a great class. But we just happen to have a guest come from interstate who has been involved with the Brahma Kumaris now for a few decades. So Dr. Roger Cole is breezing through town, and so we thought we'd snap him up and do something with him. And Roger is come on up, Roger, yep. Roger is a palliative medicine physician, and he originally trained in oncology, but then found his passion in palliative care. So he's been doing that for a long, long time now. And I think between 1990 and about 2010, he was actually the Director of Palliative Care in the Illawarra region of New South Wales. So he sort of retired after that. And that's it, you're getting there. Yeah, it's a bit of a puzzle, that one. Yeah, and then he went back to it again because it really was where his heart was at. And he has been working as a private consultant in palliative care ever since. So he's just come in from Mackay and he's on his way back to Wollongong. And I think his mic's just about set to go. So Roger's also a great friend. He's a very, very down-to-earth guy. And you can have really good, deep and personal type of conversations with him. As I can imagine, you could do it if you had him as your physician too. So anyway, Roger, fantastic to have you. Thanks for coming. And I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, well, actually, more thanks for having me, really. It's a pleasure to be back in Brisbane. I've been doing recently, this last year or two, I've just been doing locum work around Australia. So I travel to different places. I decided that when I retired, I really wanted to just teach meditation. That was my intention. I didn't expect to be working and teaching meditation at the same time. But I must have manifested this because about 2 or 3 years ago, when I took my superannuation out early, I gave it to my kids. I've got nothing to retire on now. So, but actually it suits me to work and I like working. I love doing the work I do. So it keeps me energized and focused, and it stops me going too dim up here. I mean, you can judge that for yourself as we go. But so I've been doing I've several months of locums in Mackay in recent times, and I've been thinking about visiting here because there's no Brahma Kumari sort of connections in Mackay at all. And I just felt this sort of desire to be with family, with the group. Who's here for the first time tonight? Today, not tonight, today. Welcome, a special welcome. And I sort of had this bit of longing to be with the company, with spiritual company again, even though I get spiritual company every day because I sit in meditation. I get up between about 3:30 and 4:30 every day. I don't set my alarm, but I get up between those hours and I spend the first hour to an hour and a half meditating. And then I got into a habit in Mackay because I was on this nice beach. So I'd make a chai, take it to the beach, and have a second meditation at sunrise, getting later. It was late in the day at sunrise. And one of the things about meditation practice for me is over the years, it's been a very spiritually centered and spiritually focused process. And so it's been about consciousness, about becoming aware of who I am, because we spend most of our lives unconsciously just connected to a kind of ego sense of self. And that ego sense of self begins with the day I first start taking identity from my body. To begin with, I'm quite innocent and I don't have any sense of self. But one day I start taking identity from the body, its gender, and then I start to take identity from the roles that I play in life. But they're just roles, but when I identify myself with roles, it becomes complex because roles are complicated. and they have their own sort of key performance indicators, whether it's a mother or a father, or a doctor or a nurse, or whatever profession you do, or things that you do. It's got all of that, and the thoughts in your mind are connected to your roles. When you stress, it's always role-connected stress, always. And 99% of the time, when you stress, it's role-connected, and it's connected to time and lack of a sense of time, and not having enough time for myself. And yet I'm here eternally, so what's the problem with time? I'm always going to be here. I'm never going to not be here. So how does time ever become a problem? And the other thing that I realized, because I went through some illness and sickness, I had a stroke 4 years ago, and I had a lot of fatigue post-stroke, and a very frustrated wife with a husband who spent a lot of time in bed trying to recover, still working, but as I recovered, I suddenly started to realize in 2023 that I've never actually focused any of my meditation on the health of my body. I've always focused it on the health of my soul and my relationship with the divine. I mean, that's the first point of contact of self with the divine, as a sort of point source of pure loving energy that is in the soul world where we all come from, before we come down here. So we all have a memory inside us of the soul world, of where our home, and of the divine sort of that actually is ever present there, the divine being a point of pure consciousness, and we are points of pure consciousness in bodies. We are not the body that we take identity from. So we're not the ego that we've created in this life. The sense of self that you have created in your life is actually your ego. I'm not saying you're egocentric, but yes, you are egocentric, actually. We all are in different ways, but we don't have a real knowledge of who we truly are. And that's what Raj Yoga starts to give us. It gives us a real knowledge of truly who we are, where we come from, and who we belong to, and how to tune into and connect to that place of belonging, that place of residence, and the divine that lives in that place. So, strange title today: the meditation, the neurophysiology of well-being and health. It's not body consciousness to know what the body is. I mean, we know what it is. It's got arms and legs and organs and all the bones and skin and the five senses. We all know that. But is that really what the body is? And we've learned it to be that way. But modern science is telling us there's another layer actually from which we can start to understand the body. And the other layer is actually more comes from a different sort of framework of science, which is the quantum science. It's the subatomic level of science. And once you get down to that level, the organ systems that are connected by chemistry and chemicals and hormones that keeps us functioning disappear. And it all becomes space. The whole thing is space. So 99.9999% of this body is space. And it's not just space, it's technology. It's a highly technically developed system and that's highly that is, if we start, I'll begin with the DNA. So DNA is a remarkable kind of thing. I mean, it holds the identity of all of us physically and physiologically. DNA has a memory. So it can store memory, it can store data. You can upload and download movies onto DNA, believe it or not. Much as you can download and upload movies onto a computer, a hard drive memory and soft drive. It contains software, it's a supercomputer. You have 1 to 2 gigabytes of memory on every double-stranded DNA in every chromosome, 23 chromosomes in every cell. So now we're getting up to about 30 gigabytes per cell, 50 trillion cells in the body. How much data capacity has the body got? This supercomputer, this sophisticated technology. That DNA actually can receive and transmit energy. That's called it's a fractal antenna. So a fractal antenna is an antenna that can receive one frequency, can receive on several frequencies, and can radiate and transmit on several different frequencies. So downside inside, you've got this massive memory in your body, and you've got a body that's constantly energetically communicating with the whole universe around you and receiving energy from the whole universe around you. That's electromagnetic field energy, which can be in different, can be just light, like that we see. It can be TV and radio waves. It can be ionizing radiation. So it comes in these different forms. But you are, as you're sitting there, continually communicating with the entire universe. So the body physically, which is non-physical, we've just decided it's not really physical. So there's a kind of light form that becomes energetically connected to the whole universe around you, and nothing is separated from anything. You are literally everywhere and in everything everywhere. If you keep relating to the body, there's a little kind of magical gland in the middle of all of this, which can receive transmissions from outside, called the pineal gland. The pineal gland, if you resect it, is full of microcrystals, and the pineal gland sits in the third ventricle of the ventricles are spaces in the brain that contain fluid that circulates around the spinal cord and back around and through the brain again, and around the spinal cord and back around the brain again. In the middle of this is this pineal gland in the third ventricle, and when you breathe, you circulate that CSF, this fluid, around the whole system. And when you breathe and the pineal gland shakes in the middle of that, when you shake microcrystals together, it causes something called a piezoelectrical effect. So it turns the pineal into an electronic gland in the middle of your brain, around behind the third eye. And this is probably the center of our communication with everything inside our bodies. It becomes a chemical transducer. So you can tune yourself into the divine. Okay, we can tune ourselves into the divine and receive this frequency of, we call it remembrance in Raj Yoga. So our meditation in Raj Yoga is to tune ourselves into that point of pure divine consciousness, the point source, the singularity point that is sometimes referred to. And we download into ourselves the feeling of the bliss and love and power and protection that being gives us. We become calm and relaxed and happy. And that's partly because as we receive this energy, the pineal gland will turn melatonin into serotonin, which is a happy hormone, and it will turn melatonin, which you sleep with. It'll turn melatonin into DMT, which is a psychedelic. You know, these psychedelics people are talking about. Now you're activating the best drug cupboard in the world. That's your own inner drug cupboard here. We've got lots of drugs we could be high on, so let's get high on these drugs. You don't have to take anything from the outside. So you can create DMT, which will give you visions and great visualization. It will also release benzodiazepines, which is like Valium. This is this central organ, which is actually a chemical transducer. It's taking a wave of energy and it's transducing it, changing it into a form of experience. It's a bit like, I don't want to bore you with all the science too much, but it's okay. Tell me if I'm boring you with the science, but okay, so there's radio waves running through this room and TV waves running through this room. That's energy. Everything about energy is a wave. It's a wave form. And the other thing that an energy wave contains, it contains information of its source. So the TV energy wave contains the TV channel that's coming through here. We're full of it. It's all through us. And if I've got I can't see anything on that channel unless I have an antenna to pick up the wave, and then a transducer to turn the wave of energy into a form that I can, into its form, to extract the form that's inside that energy wave, this being a TV picture or a radio channel, in that example. Now, in the body, the pineal gland, in that sort of behind the third eye, in that kind of sixth energy center, the pineal gland is a chemical transducer. So it changes the chemistry, it releases chemical changes, it communicates, talks to the pituitary gland, releases different hormones in the body. And all of a sudden, the chemistry is changing and the experience is then had. It turns into contentment, peace, happiness, bliss. And it opens the heart to love, and empathy and compassion. It opens the heart to love, empathy, and compassion. It does that as a chemical transducer. It's extracting the pure, powerful vibrations that are coming from the divine, and then it's extracting those vibrations as a transducer and turning it into the experience of the divine. So this is how you start to experience God, experience your soul, experience the purity of the soul, the power of the peace, the passion and the love that's in the soul, and opens the heart. As the heart opens with feelings of love and empathy and compassion, or appreciation and gratitude, as the heart opens with feelings and emotions, you start to become not just a master of the body by mastering this yoga. We call it remembrance here, but it's this tuning into the vibrations of the divine, this yoga, this union with the divine. Once when you get that fine-tuning channel, there's a bit of interference. You're just turning it backwards and forwards a little bit, and that's it. That's the yoga. That's the moment you make the connection and you feel it through the whole vibration through yourself, and you feel, yes, that's it. And you just surrender into it, and it becomes beautiful and peaceful and calm. And it's becoming that, sorry. Yes, of course.
From someone that's passed, with someone I feel like I feel people in the past around me to give me a message to pass on to someone else or just for me. But then how do I know the difference?
So the question is about how do I know it's coming from a source or from an interference? Can I come to that later, because it'll be relevant to parts of this talk that come later. So remind me if I haven't covered it at the end. But I'll come back to that. Yeah. So when you get that real yoga connection, I think sometimes what we do here is we go to India to our headquarters every year, or every couple of years or so. I've been about 20 times in 33 years. And what happens there is that the energy is so pure. I really believe that this sort of divine, pure kind of consciousness of the divine is taking us back there to put us back into that atmosphere, to give us that experience of that feeling of what God really feels like, and teach us how to keep ourselves tuning into that experience. So I think what the divine is doing is trying to put us on the right frequency to be with that pure consciousness. And the more we practice it, so we get up at 3:30, 4:30. Actually, most of us are more disciplined than me. I get up between 3:30 and 4:30, but a lot of these guys get up at 3:30 every day to meditate between 4 and 4:45, and they do it to the dot. I do it a little bit sort of all over the place, but I'm happy enough to get there and get enough of that sort of yoga in at Amrit Vela. Amrit Vela is this time. Again, this is a slight answer to the question that you asked. It's a time when there's less interference in the atmosphere, and it's a kind of a pure early morning time, pre-dawn time, where there's more purity in the atmosphere, and so there's less interference. And so getting up at that time might seem crazy, but In fact, I feel so energized when I've actually got up early and had that morning yoga. It's with me all day, and I have to confess that when I started to turn this from just spiritual experience into physical experience, I've created more energy and less need for sleep than I've ever had in my life. So I went through that period of bad health actually when I had the stroke and everything. I mean, I've still got. I'm not. People used to ask me to, because I was a doctor and I was in Raj Yoga, to go and tell people about the health benefits of meditation. And I'm there. I can't do that. I've got diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol. I'm not a great example, you know. And I tried to drop dead at 64. That was a good start. Survived that. But I was talking to one of the senior brothers in this organization, and he told me that he had a conversation with one of our daddies, which is our very, Daddy Yankee was like a major, huge, powerful presence, really. I mean, she was a beautiful soul to be close to in any way, shape, or form. And you could feel the whole atmosphere around her was just vibrant, pure, beautiful kind of gentleness and power. Can you use those two things together? Yes, you can. I mean, innocence and power go together. You know, even in those sort of pictures of heaven, they have the lion and the lamb drinking from the same pool of water. The innocence of the lamb, the power of the lion are together when we're in our most royal, pure form. What was I talking about?
Bringing the light.
Yeah. Right, sorry, it was a conversation that was with Daddy Yankee. She lived beyond 100, and she had terrible health for about 30 years, really, like with chronic sort of obstructive airways disease and emphysema. And she was asked by one of the brothers that's not in this room how she actually kept her body going. And she said that and she said something like this. Okay, these are not her exact words, but she said that when she has yoga with God, when she has that union with the divine, and she's in that pure space of divinity, in that yoga state, she sends some light and healing to every cell of her body. Just sends that healing light to every cell of her body. And we're talking about, we sit together every now and again to give Sakash, which is this pure energy of health and healing to the whole world, and to everybody who lives here, every part of nature, to everything and everywhere. And this was like giving that Sakash to every cell of my body as a healing kind of feeling throughout my body. And she kept herself going for over 100 years and did that partly through her yoga power. This is yoga power, taking power from the divine, turning it into yoga. And we're saying, and I'm saying now, this tuning in, possibly starting to learn. I started to learn as I'm going along in this body, not sort of pretending I'm a body of light all the time, but actually in the physical body, which is actually a body of light all the time. All the time, this is a body of light, but it has at some level of vibration a kind of, it comes into form and then it flickers back into light, and then into form, then into light. As it flickers, all your eyes can pick up and your ears can pick up is actually the form of everything. You can't pick up the light in between. You know, we did those little stick men things when you had a page where you did that and made them do all these movements because you couldn't see the gaps where there was nothing in between. So we can't see the gaps where there's nothing in between, but we are all light-bodied. And when we become pure in our consciousness through yoga, we become pure light-bodied beings. So we turn it into an angelic form. And the light angelic form contains kind of the light variant of our DNA. So we have the carbon-based DNA that is when it's in form, and the light form of DNA when it's out of it. So the angel has everything in a light form. And when I become pure and angelic, then everything's in a light form, even the DNA. But the DNA is communicating with everything that is everywhere. So if you want to have a pure feeling for the healing of the whole planet, the healing of the universe, for the healing of all beings on the universe, and for peace on Earth, then have that through your light form, because the light form is in everything, everywhere at the same time. You can be everywhere at the same time. I'll tell you a story about that. Seriously, I haven't been to a lot of funerals in my life of people who have died under my care. But I had a patient contact me through my secretary and they wanted to thank me so much for coming to the funeral. I never went, But because at that time I was exploring this idea you can be everywhere at the same time, and I was meditating on it. And I never went, but I thought, I wonder, did I show up? Could I have shown up? And I realize that's a kind of a nutty idea, but is it nutty really? Is it a nutty idea because I place limitations on myself through believing I'm this physical form, or is it a kind of unreal, accurate idea because of we are unlimited? There's no limits and no boundaries. No limits, no boundaries. You are everywhere at the same time. What an amazing thought. You at this moment, you're exchanging electrons with the outer reaches of the universe. That's a bit more physical, but you're at the outer reaches of the universe. So physically, we can have a massive influence if we start to understand the body to be sophisticated technology. It's a supercomputer. It's full of technological things that happen inside it through a kind of fractal antennas, which can pick up different vibrations, different frequencies, and fractal antennas in the DNA, which can actually generate vibrant, different frequencies out to the universe. So we're continually communicating ourselves with the universe and receiving information from the universe. So you can tune into anything you want. Do you want more wisdom? Tune into the wisdom in the universe. I needed a solution about 12 months ago when I went to Mackay. I'm a bit different than some doctors. And I got a bit challenged there on one occasion, not for saying these things. I mean, I did say these things because I do wherever I go now, I do grand rounds in those hospitals. And so I sit down and say these things in grand rounds to all the doctors and people, and then I take them through a meditation. They have a lovely time, so they don't mind. So now this is in the whole hospital. Yeah. I mean, these are people who you wouldn't believe you should be listening to this stuff. But when you talk about this stuff, because it's real and because it's sincere, and because it's connected to a kind of science as well, it reaches people's hearts. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, because I sometimes tell patients, before I was a doctor, I was a human being. But it's, I forgot what I was saying now.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, I needed a solution. Yeah, I didn't quite know how to solve this problem. So what I did was I was doing all this stuff like being part of the universe. I went on the beach. I did a little bit of qigong, and then I opened my arms up to hug the universe, and I felt like a connection with everything, everywhere at the time. It was a beautiful, weird Roger sort of moment, but I was there like that, and I started to just sit down and have yoga with a solution. I didn't think what the solution should be. I didn't have any ideas about the solution. I didn't think it through the normal way, but I just had yoga for a solution. Just have yoga with a realm of solutions out there somewhere, and let the DNA work it out. So I just sat there and did that for about 20 minutes. And I went to work that day, and everything has resolved itself. One way or another. Different people have done different things. I didn't even have to face the problem. The problem was sort of like was there because it was initially sort of told to me, and I was confronted with it. But then after that minute bit of confrontation, after handing it over to the universe by having yoga with the solution, whatever the solution is, just have yoga with it. Don't try to think it out. And just watch how that becomes manifest. That's manifestation. And for manifestation, you need to have a heart that's open. So it's not just intellectual kind of union with the divine. I need to let space for love take place, and for space for empathy and compassion to take place, caring to take place. These are the gentle things that make the heart open, and it brings about a nice vibrational feeling from the heart. And I've been sort of concentrating on that a fair bit in time. And also it was my fortune on the day when I started meditating. It was pretty well when I started out in palliative medicine. And so my fortune was in my working life, I've been doing something. In my spiritual life, I've been meditating. In my working life, I've been doing something that has made me face the suffering of others and respond to the suffering of others all the time on a daily basis. So instead of that wearing me down, it's actually made me more caring and more compassionate. I used to just be like an angry, self-centered young man, and now I'm a quite pleasant, self-centered old man. But that's called self-transformation at a limited level. But I became more connected with what people needed from me rather than what I wanted for myself, and that was important because that opens the heart, and that creates a greater wholeness about yourself, and it changes your chemistry. It changes your chemistry. I said that big word, neurophysiology. So the neurophysiology is that there are different neural networks in our body that go from the brain out to different parts. This pineal area with the pituitary gland in front is right in the limbic system, behind the hippocampus, close to the amygdala. The amygdala is the stressed out bit of the brain that builds up light on functional MRIs full of stress. When you de-stress a bit, the amygdala goes quiet and the hippocampus starts to light up, and you start to grow new brain cells in the hippocampus. And the hippocampus and limbic system is the heart of the brain. But don't forget there's a brain in the heart as well. In 1991, they discovered 30,000 neurons in the heart. What the heck are they doing there? What's the brain doing in the heart? And it's been discovered that they can have thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So you really do, it really can be a heart to heart, and the heart can react to things. But this sort of limbic system, and then if you start to meditate regularly and you start to use feelings in your meditation, what you do is you start to lay down a different neural pathways, because the neurons are kind of like this. There's little neurons like an arm with lots of little tentacles on the end of it. And the tentacles are connecting with other neurons. And there's chemicals going between them to transmit information. And those chemicals then makes the next neuron alive. That one goes down to the next neuron, and so on. They just pass these chemicals on. It's very slow compared to radiating energy to the universe, which is instantaneous. But but what happens if you regularly meditate is you change there's trillions of different potentials where those neurons can connect, and you just change where they connect. So they say what fire, and they fire together. So like now, if I'm saying something new and it's interesting, something's firing together. If you keep reviewing that, they'll wire together. So if you start meditating on a regular basis, you're starting to fire things together in a different way. And then they'll wire together in a different way, and they'll lighten different parts of your brain, and different chemicals will be released. So you start to release serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin, the love hormone, all the good hormones. So now here you are, chemical transducer. The chemistry is transducing to experience, and you're experiencing peace, love, happiness, and joy. and you're making it a habit. At the moment, I'm not saying this is your habit, okay? You're probably doing all this already, and none of this is new to you. But at the moment, just in case any of you are stressed out, at the moment, you're used to your daily habits of ingesting as much stress as possible, and getting your amygdala wired up, and the hormones that the chemistry you're engaging is the chemistry of high cortisol levels, which have been associated with inflammatory responses in the body, chronic inflammation, which is the foundation, we believe now, of all diseases. And that cortisol then releases adrenaline and noradrenaline, sort of these hyperactive, hyped up sort of hormones. And that's our habit, is to feed on those every day. It's all right to get that ready for action if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. But when the saber-toothed tiger is stressed in the workplace with the boss you don't like and people you don't want to meet and things like that, then that continual kind of stress hormone response to nothing that's life-threatening is actually what we create stress-related diseases and illnesses in the body. Rewire, you've been programmed from a young and tender age. So before the age of 7, we don't have any analytical function in our brain. And we just download our experiences in life. And that downloaded experiences becomes the program we're setting for life. If you get trauma in your life along the way, what the brain will do with traumatic experiences, it will package the brain will respond with not just one neuropeptide, but maybe 1 trillion neuropeptides. And those neuropeptides are like short sort of proteins. They're amino acids chained together, like a short protein, and it contains the trauma, and then it takes the trauma out from the brain to a cellular level, perhaps related to the trauma itself, and those neuropeptides connect to the cells of the body. When they connect to the receptors of the cell surface of the body, it releases chemical changes in the body that engages the DNA and the genes and the genetic codes of the DNA. So it will upregulate or downregulate genes. And so you can contain emotions of different types on your cell levels. So if you get a panic attack, a panic attack isn't like panic just in here. The whole body feels it. If you get an anxiety attack, it's the whole body that feels it. And if you get like a love experience, it's like the whole body experiences it. And so there's neuropeptides of emotions and feelings. The body contains your subconscious mind physiologically. This is like the physiologically connected subconscious mind. It's in your body. We talk about sanskars on the soul, so that we carry sanskars, impressions and imprints on the soul, not just of this lifetime, but of past births. Now, every sanskar, I believe, on the soul has a physiological effect in the body. We carry it physiologically, not just as an imprint on the soul. And we can actually get rid of these neuropeptides, not by working through our traumas and distresses and things that happen to us, but by meditating, actually, by breath work. There are things that you can do that doesn't require a psychologist to take you back through the trauma, which often doesn't work anyway. You don't have to keep reliving trauma in your life. I shouldn't say this, but especially if this is recorded and can be played back. But I shouldn't say this, but my wife actually causes me a lot of trauma. No, I'm only joking. She doesn't. She's fantastic. I mean, I totally relate to just how nice it is to have a carer when you're not well, and I relate to carers that are looking after people that I'm taking care of as well. Just how valued they are by a person who's not well. If you're caring for someone, they value you beyond what you can believe, because it makes such a big difference to that person. And and there's a healing power in all of that. But I was going to talk about my wife, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, it was. I can't remember what it was now. Maybe it's gone. She was, yeah, because she's been through a long history of trauma in her life, and trying to deal with is like, for her, is really impossible. It's hard, and you can't really unravel the emotions and the feelings of those people. It's not, no, it just doesn't come in the kind of ways that you would expect it to do so. So it's just about, you don't have to actually play the old program. You can start to future focus your life. This is the next step of manifestation. Think about, create an intention about what you want, who you want to be, how you want to be. And with the heart, open the heart to all possibilities, and be grateful and loving and caring and compassionate towards yourself, and to receive the outcome already of what you want to become. This way you start to lay down a new program for the future, and you start to emerge the new self in the future. In the Brahma Kumaris, we're taught that our future aim and objective is to become an angel and a divine being in our next birth, but to become an angel in this birth. And we're given the same task. So we're actually being reprogrammed to the future angelic state. And that includes things like purity, love, truth, peace, bliss, sharing that bliss and happiness with everyone, everywhere, all the time. And to share that with the whole world as a healing, powerful, pure energy for the whole universe, really, not just the world, for all of nature and everything that we're all part of. And that becomes the focus. Where if I energy focus myself towards that future, I'm starting to meditate. I'm transforming and changing what I do. My behavior is changing. I'm engaging in meditation. And I just decide I'll get up at 3:30 every morning, and I'll have that first half-hour meditation when there's no interference in the atmosphere. And I start to get the benefit of that, because I start to communicate with that supreme pure source. I can't emphasize how much value there is in the course of meditation that you can do here. I did it on a retreat in India 33 years ago, and it's definitely fashioned my whole life. And it's meant I've manifested what I wanted. You know, like I said, I wanted to spend my retirement teaching meditation, I decided. And I looked up people like Joe Dispenza. Have you heard of him? So I looked up Joe Dispenza, and he teaches he's a very good teacher of this sort of stuff. But his meditation practice is different. He does a lot of breath work meditation. I went to, and Marie, my wife, decided she couldn't stand me anymore. So she gave me Joe Dispenza's retreat information in Denver in 2023. And so we decided we went there together, and we went via Sedona, because she's a bit sort of more off with the fairies than I am. Sorry. She's a bit more off with the fairies than I am. And she wanted to go to that place in Arizona called Sedona, because Sedona is supposed to have these kind of portals into other dimensions. And she connected up with an Indian, North American Indian, what do they call those healers? Shaman over there, to do a little sort of go around all the energy spots in Sedona. So we put Sedona into the plan, and I looked up, there's another guy out there called Greg Braden, that you've probably heard of, about all this sort of field. Well, it turned out Greg Braden was doing a 4-day workshop when we planned to be in Sedona. So we signed up for that, and we did Greg Braden and then Joe Dispenza, on a week intensive. And I came back fired up, I came back fired up, not because I wanted to adopt Joe's meditation style, because when I saw him sort of taking people through breath work is to make them become bodiless. And when I saw it to become bodiless, I thought, I can do that. I can just sit down and do that. I can do that just like that. Bodiless within the body. And then in the bodiless state, from the bodiless state, that's when you can communicate with the energies of the universe. And you can communicate with the energies of manifestation, the possibilities of creating intention. Use your meditation, create intention. We do that. We're taught to do that to become like angels, create the intention, and then determine what you need to make that intention come, and develop love and happiness and joy for already being that. You know, we're not told to be that in the future. We're told to be that now. So to become that, you are that already. You know, the future, past, and present is not a timeline. It all happens at the same time, in the same instant. It's like the holy instant. There was a moment somewhere on that timeline. When you go out into the quantum field, there's no time. So you become no one, nowhere, in no time. That's egoless, bodiless state. And in that no one, nowhere, in no time, you're communicating with past, present, future in the same moment. So I then create the idea I want to be, for health or whatever it is, or to become an angel. I create the idea to be an angel from nowhere, no one in no time. I create the idea of being an angel and what are the qualities of the angel. And then in no one, nowhere, no time, I give thanks for already being that. So when I come back to here, in this 3D world, where everything seems to take a lot of time, I have gratitude for already being an angel, and it brings the angel forwards. So gratitude and appreciation opens the heart. You can use other things if it's more like you. Caring and compassion opens the heart. Great love opens the heart. And it opens the heart to manifestation happening now. And you open the heart to it's already happened, not just in the future, it's already happened, it's here now. You open the heart to that, and it's already here, it's happening now. It's already here, it's happening now. It's here now. And this pure sort of energy for manifestation starts to take place. Can I share a theory? Yeah. This is not, a lot of what I've said is actually science-based fact. So what I've been telling you is science-based fact. There is a unified field of energy that contains everything. Nothing is separate. Separation is actually a big illusion. There's no separation between things, because the separation between things is connected to the emptiness between things is connected to the emptiness within things. And there's no things. So there's like empty space between us, and then you are empty space. Your body's empty space. And there's just there's just energy passing through there. You can have a heart-to-heart with anybody because they've measured the electromagnetic field around the heart, around the body, and they've measured it to extend 3 feet beyond the body, the electromagnetic field of the heart. So when you're having a heart-to-heart with someone, you are having a heart-to-heart with them. You're energetically connecting your magnetic fields to one another, and there's just vibration passing through. I mean, I know you can feel your physicality, but this chair that's holding my body, one, my body's not there, and two, the chair's not there. It's just space. 99.999% of that chair is space at a subatomic level. It's very comfortable space. I mean, you know, like, I don't have to worry about it. Like, the body's very comfortable. Yes.
Separate you from the meditation that you were doing all those years. No, so was that the most prominent thing you were able to come back to the quickest?
Not really, because I was a stupid doctor. I didn't know I'd had a stroke. You know, I think doctors. I was told by a physio that doctors are hopeless because they don't know how to look after themselves. My wife's a nurse, and they said doctors don't know how to look after themselves. They're hopeless. And he said, but nurses are worse because they know everything. But sorry. I didn't know I'd had a stroke. I was dragging my left foot around the wards, still seeing consultations. And I was a bit clumsy, tripping over things. And I had a bit of a speech problem. I couldn't quite get my language quite like it should be. And my communication is pretty complex communication. I still have a speech problem at the moment I'm aware of that you're probably not picking up on, but I do have a speech and language difficulties and word selection problems at times. And I forget what I was saying, like, so what happened was I spent a month still working with that stroke, still driving. You're not allowed to drive for the first month of your stroke. By the time I found out I'd had a stroke, I'd already done my driving, my month of not driving, so I was okay. But my wife was like saying, "You've got to go and see a doctor. Something's wrong." And the people at work were a little bit, "Are you okay?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm fine. There's no problem." Then I trip over something. Yeah, no problem, no problem. And then I walked down the beach one day and I looked back at my footprints and my left foot was just dragging sand like that. And I looked at that and I said, "That's not right. Okay, I'll go and see a doctor." So I saw a doctor and I had a 3 centimeter dead area in the middle of my right internal capsule, which is part of the brain. I've seen people come in with those capsular strokes, completely stroked out and not able to move. So I was very lucky, really. I was very lucky to be that. I was lucky to be that unlucky. I was lucky within that bad luck, you know. So yeah.
Can I ask if the pineal gland can be damaged? If it's damaged, then obviously there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about diseases affecting the pineal gland. The pineal gland's main function is that when it gets dark, it creates melatonin out of serotonin. And so when it gets to the end of the day, you start to produce more melatonin. When you close your eyes and it's really dark, you pour melatonin out and you go to sleep, hopefully, sometimes, some nights, unless you've got a cat. Mike, so I'll just finish and I'll come back. And when you wake up, pineal gland turns melatonin back into serotonin. And when it becomes electrified and connected to the universe through the aerial, perhaps of the between the 6th and the 7th sort of energy centers, perhaps when it gets that aerial's up there from the pineal gland, it's picking up and sending out waves of energy. And when it's picking up, then it can actually start to create those pleasant things like Valium, benzodiazepines, and psychedelics. DMT is the best of the psychedelics. That's the pineal gland's got that covered. And probably when we die, there's animal kind of, they've done experiments in animals that 3 minutes after a cardiac arrest in the animal, the brain actually goes into it goes from, we normally have like a beta activity in our EEG in the brain. And it goes from beta to alpha, which is like a meditation state, to theta, which is a near sleep state, a very powerful meditation state. And it goes into this very rapid gamma state, which is bliss, total bliss and joy and happiness and love. It's that kind of blissed out feeling. It's in this gamma state. It's been measured in meditators that this is what the experience is against those different wavelengths, those different brain waves. 3 minutes after a cardiac arrest in an animal, measuring the brain waves of the animal, it goes into that gamma state. So there's evidence from the animal models that we bliss into the afterlife. You know, I said I'd be like, I'm going to surf gamma waves into the afterlife. So there's bliss there. And that bliss is connected to chemical release as well. So the pineal gland, for instance, will be releasing DMT. So I'm having a vision of light at that point. And also the part of the brain that dies at the end is the bit that can see light in the brain. So all that's left is like this image of light. And I think it's a spiritual experience to me, but there's a physiological side to it. You've got masses of of that DMT release from the pineal gland probably happening at the same time. So you've got the potential for visions in that sort of near-death experience or that afterlife experience. Those visions actually, I don't know what the source of visions are, to be honest with you, but it's an altered state of consciousness in which it can happen. We're not actually trained in the Brahma Kumaris. We're trained not to have visions because we're told there's no attainment in visions. I mean, we'd all love a vision. I'd like to have the remote, you know, give me the remote for visions. You know, I'd be pressing it all the time, all day long. It'd be too distractive of the yoga experience. Sorry, do you have you had a question as well? It's very nice, very nice. To be honest with you, I don't know why I'm here, but I do know that I am here. Okay. Yeah, there's a really, our humanness is a special bond we all have, because the humanness about us is the part of us that actually can feel emotion, can feel love and happiness and kindness, and that's the humanness that connects us all. And if we start to actually turn that into yoga and meditation practice and spread those waves at a really unlimited level, with the feeling like, let my body become light and radiating light. And this is happening physiologically through my DNA. But let my body become light, radiating light. Let my body receive light. And let me receive light from the divine and radiate and turn that through the transducing process, turn that into the light energy of the unified field that's called quantum, that connects all of us together everywhere, all the time. We could try that. Shall we try that? I'll lead just a short meditation, kind of like a.
There was one question about how much your meditation practice was able to help you when you had the stroke.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Actually, I don't know if it helped me through the stroke because I didn't really take much notice of it. I just thought, oh, I've had a stroke. That's okay. I was really relieved when I found out I'd got the stroke clarified on the MRI, because it meant I could take a few weeks off work, and I was getting stressed trying to work. So I had a couple of months off, because it was actually stressing me to try to keep doing what I was doing when I wasn't really functioning properly. So I had some basic human things that I wasn't so much around the meditation. What helped me meditation-wise was after I went to those workshops with Dispenza and Greg Braden, was I came back believing that I could actually really do something for the health of my body using meditation, going into that kind of place of no one, nowhere, in no time, that egoless, bodiless state within the body, and to generate really good, pure energy for the body as a technology, not necessarily at a cellular chemical level, but do it as a technology, as a vibration. So use the thoughts of vibrations. So like, I'll give you an example of that. I had a thought to say something, so I just said it. And when I was saying it, what I was doing was I was breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. And as I breathed out, I vibrated my vocal cords like that. And that created a vibration that was sent out to you as a vibration. Your tympanic membranes in your ears went like that, at the same vibration exactly. And then the nerves inside your inner ear picked that up and took it to the brain to interpret the vibration chemically. And hey, physiologically, you're hearing what I'm saying. You know, and this happens without words. So it's vibrational thought. Thought is a vibration. It doesn't have to have words. And it can go throughout your body, and you can change your body with the vibration of your thought. Well, it's full of calcified little crystals So it's full of crystals, which just move together when you move it. So what I found, one of the sort of limitations I found when I was with Joe Dispenza was he took us through a 5-hour Amrit Vela at 4 a.m. to 9 o'clock. And it was deep breathing exercise to try to physiologically create a mystical experience. So he was trying to shake the hell out of the pineal gland by breathing. And that was to create release of DMT and benzodiazepines and put us physiologically into a mystical experience. But I was like, he's so far off a mystical experience, so far off it. A mystical experience is my connection with the divine. Direct yoga union with the divine. That's mystical experience. And the chemistry of that mystical experience is the same as he's trying to create. So he's trying to give you can't get a mystical experience by creating the chemistry of it. But you can have a mystical experience which goes with the chemistry, and that's blissful. Blissful. So I didn't finish off my stroke stuff. So what happened was, when I was depleted, and I came back with this kind of, yes, I can do something with the body. I started to focus part of my yoga on my body at a cellular level, at a vibrational level, at an energetic level, and so changing the physiology. And I went from not being able to get enough sleep in 8 hours, feeling exhausted all day long, to needing no more than 4 to 5 hours sleep max, and feeling energized all day long. So it was a big difference, and the yoga improved because I started to have yoga in which I was feeling the presence of the divine through that tuning in, which you can learn here, and that tuning into the divine. I started to feel the presence of the divine on the one hand, and at the same time, I felt myself connected to the whole universe at the quantum level. It's a different level. They're mixing up God with quantum at the moment, but it's a different level. You have to go to a different dimension for God than the quantum is on. But you can bring it back, chemically transduce it, change the vibe, and have both. And I've been sitting in both sometimes, just feeling like, this is so wonderful. I feel this cache of pure energy for everything, everyone, everywhere, at the same time as being connected, at the same time as knowing what the connection with God is feeling like. And that's going through my body. Can't be doing any harm. I haven't dropped dead doing it yet. My wife's expecting me to drop dead any time. She's a bit worried. No, she's a bit worried about me. And I appreciate that so much. Oh yeah, well, I'm a bit. Well, I've self-treated myself always. I've never gone to see a doctor, and I've been the worst self-diagnoser and self-treater. I've been hopeless. I definitely get dragged up in front of the medical board.
So were you able to bridge the gap there with their thinking with the source?
So I'll tell you what I had at the beginning of last year as well. I had that thing that goes, how something drops into your mind sometimes?
Yeah.
And what dropped into my mind was trust the yoga.
Yes. Trust
all the yoga you've accumulated over all the years. It's there. And if you sit down with someone, the yoga is going to be there. So when I give attention to someone, I'm going to transmit. I'm going to transmit the yoga power that I've got for myself is going to be shared. So I know that when I'm with people, I actually bring benefit when I'm not talking. Now I'm listening, but I'm giving attention. And when you give attention to someone, you're with them. Literally, you're with them. Metaphorically, you're with them, but you're with them. Your whole of you is with them, and you're not separate. So I make a point that I'm not going to carry what's just happened with me to the next consultation. I'm not going to worry about what I have to do next later on in the day, what the next appointment is, or how much time I've got. I'm not going to carry any of those thoughts. And in a natural way, without concentrating or trying to be anything.
Yeah.
Just a natural way, give attention to that person.
எங்க அண்ணா
And that will heal as well. I mean, it won't make the disease go away necessarily, but it'll have a healing relationship. Yeah, I never feel the heavy space, to be honest with you. I've kind of got to a place where, yeah. I mean, I feel when you get awareness of your consciousness, you're a point of pure consciousness. We've been taught from way back in Raj Yoga that the soul is a point and it sits behind the center of the forehead. You know, and that's probably close to where the pineal gland. I'm not saying it's in the pineal gland. I don't know, but it's behind the center of the forehead, and that's where the point. And that seems like a reasonable place because it's like the kind of operating center of the brain, really. It's the feeling center of the brain as well. It sits there in the midbrain. So it's a point, and it's a point-to-point connection, a point of pure consciousness connecting with a source of pure consciousness that contains the original blueprint of the soul before it came through experiences and lost itself to the ego. It's like I can rediscover myself because my blueprint is being held by the divine. If I have yoga with the divine, then I sort of download the blueprint. I mean, everything technologically we've created in this world is a mini picture of what the body does naturally. So you can download God into your DNA. It was a good source. Sometimes things pop into my mind that I mean, I don't just go with it. I kind of discern it and decide. But this was definitely go with it. So it was like a source of wisdom came. Yeah. It's hard to actually work out what to do for someone else and what advice to give for someone else because we're all individual in our life experience and the advice that we would take from someone about how to do something is not always going to sit easily and well. And sometimes when someone's going through something, it's not about offering them solutions, it's about offering them company and support of your presence and your kindness and empathy. Because some people don't need to fix their disease, they need to more experience love and empathy and care and compassion.
That is also causing kind of stress that he's generating by himself, that being a burden or not it's for him, it's not age for him to get those kind of care and something.
Yeah.
Although he suffered.
Yeah.
But his inner self is not ready to accept those love in a positive.
And that's the truth of the matter. There's no end to that story, and there's no end to trying to solve that story. And there's so many really sad stories around us today that we need to learn how to really take good care of ourselves, so we don't lose ourselves to the bad stories that are around us, so that we can keep serving and keep ourselves in a good vibe where we're looking after the world around us that's suffering. There's never been more suffering in the world than there is today, I don't think. What was that, Pip? Time? Time. It's time. Maybe I'll just a little tiny bit of music and 5 minutes. I'll just put this together in some kind of a manner that is like a summary. As a meditation. So just sit comfortably, back in the chair, nice and symmetrical. eyes open or closed, whatever's comfortable for you. And for the next few minutes, I just allow myself to become still and centered in this space the now. No future, no past. Just in this moment now, I become light and free. And I turn inwards. As I turn inwards, I feel protected and safe and secure. And I feel myself surrounded in light, like a soft white light of peace, a soft white light of calm. And this calm, peaceful light draws me within, deep inside myself. As I move further within, I find myself drawn into a tiny, pure point of conscious light, energy. I am pure consciousness emanating from a point of light. I radiate peace, love, happiness and power throughout my body, nourishing every cell of the body, nurturing every organ of the body. And at a deeper level, this light reaches the light inside my cells. And light radiates outwards, communicating with the light of the universe around me. I feel myself becoming everywhere in this light. I feel myself becoming peaceful and blissful in this light. And I feel a deep, pure sense of the divine drawing me upwards into a tiny point, like an orange glow. It feels like coming home to myself, into the company of a pure, light, loving presence of the divine. I draw light and peace from the divine as I become no one, nowhere, in no time. Bodiless, pure, light being, receiving light, radiating light, just one with the light. I am peace, I am love, I am joy, I am bliss, and I have power over myself. Radiant, loving, peaceful, pure, innocent